The night air was heavy with dampness as Mia Harper wandered the dimly lit yard sale. A distant dog barked, and every shadow seemed to stretch too long. Mia Harper was 27, tired of her quiet life, yet restless for meaning. She stopped at a table cluttered with old trinkets, but her eyes locked onto a dusty, leather-bound book. Its cover was cracked like dried skin, and a faint smell of mildew clung to it. The vendor, Clara Wren, an old woman with a crooked smile, leaned forward and said, "That one's been waiting." Mia Harper whispered, "Waiting for who?" Her voice trembled. Clara Wren's grin widened as she said, "For you, child." A chill wrapped around Mia Harper's spine. She touched the book, and her fingertips burned faintly, as though the leather pulsed beneath her skin. She opened it, and there, written in faded ink, was her own name. Mia Harper gasped, stepping back, but the air pressed against her chest, pulling her closer to the cursed pages. Mia Harper hurried home, clutching the book as though it might vanish. She tried to convince herself it was only coincidence, her name scribbled by some forgotten owner. Rain began to fall in thin sheets, streaking the window. She curled on her couch, lamp glowing weakly, and set the book on her lap. Her chest tightened as she whispered, "It's nothing." The words sounded fragile in the silence. She flipped to another page, and her breath caught. The page bore today's date. The writing was jagged but unmistakable. It read, "The girl brings the book home, and the night whispers her name." Her stomach dropped. She slammed it shut, heart hammering. Then she heard it. A whisper slipped under the door like a draft, curling through the room. A voice, faint yet sharp, breathed, "Mia." Her blood froze, and she held her breath, waiting for it to stop. The whisper did not fade. Instead, it crawled around the walls, stretching into corners. Mia Harper whispered, "No, I'm imagining this." Fear pressed down on her chest, urging her not to look. But she looked anyway, chasing shadows. Suddenly, the pages of the book fluttered, though the air was still. Her pulse pounded in her ears. She stayed frozen, every nerve screaming. The lamp flickered once, twice, before dimming to a weak glow. She gasped, clutching the book tighter. The air grew thick like unseen hands pressing her chest. The whisper split into two voices now, overlapping, both hissing her name. "Mia, Mia." Her skin prickled with dread. She muttered, "This isn't real," though every part of her knew it was. The whispers vanished as suddenly as they had come. Silence roared in the room. Mia Harper's breathing was shallow and sweat clung to her brow. She wanted to throw the book away, but her body would not let go. She forced herself to stand, gripping the book with both hands, staggering toward her bedroom. The hall stretched long shadows, pooling unnaturally, as though bending toward her. She whispered, "Just sleep, just sleep," her voice cracking. The house creaked in response. Floorboards moaned beneath her steps like restless spirits. She reached her bedroom door and paused, throat dry. The room beyond seemed darker and colder than the rest. She stepped inside, placing the book on her nightstand quickly as though its gaze followed her. She turned away sharply, willing herself not to look again. Mia Harper lay under blankets, shivering, though no breeze touched her. Her mind replayed the whispers, but exhaustion weighed heavier than fear. She whispered, "It's not real." The book lay on her nightstand, glowing faintly in moonlight from the window. She rolled to face the wall, hoping sleep would come. But silence broke again with a faint creak. She froze, eyes snapping open. Slowly, she turned her head back toward the nightstand. The book had shifted open, on its own. Its pages trembled as if invisible fingers touched them. Cold panic seized her chest. She whispered, "No," but her words were swallowed by stillness. The page turned by itself, jagged black ink sprawling across the paper. Her name shimmered on the page, binding her fate to its words. Mia Harper sat at her kitchen table the next morning, the book resting unopened beside her coffee. Her eyes were red, heavy from a restless night. She whispered, It's just a dream. Yet her fingers kept drifting toward the cover. Sunlight crept through blinds, but the room felt dim, as though shadows lingered stubbornly. She pulled the book closer, heart thumping, and opened it again. The page had changed. Yesterday's words were gone, replaced by fresh ink that seemed to seep into the paper. It read, "The girl reads again, though she swears she will not." Mia Harper muttered, "No, I didn't." Her coffee cup rattled slightly as though touched by unseen hands. She pushed back from the table, but the book seemed to anchor her in place. The quiet hum of the refrigerator faltered, then stopped, leaving a silence that pressed in like a wall. Mia Harper slammed the book shut and shoved it into her bag, muttering, "I can't stay here." She left her house and walked down the street, the morning air cool and damp from last night's rain. Her sneakers splashed against puddles as she tried to calm her racing thoughts. She thought of her best friend, Daniel Cross, the only person who might believe her. He was 28, steady and kind, though skeptical of anything strange. She whispered, "Daniel will know what to do." Yet the farther she walked, the heavier her bag became, as if the book's weight grew with every step. Passing neighbors waved, but Mia Harper barely noticed, her gaze fixed on the path ahead. The book pulsed faintly against her side, like a second heartbeat she could not escape. Daniel Cross opened the door to his apartment, rubbing his eyes as Mia Harper stepped inside. He said, "You look like hell, Mia. What's going on?" Mia Harper dropped her bag onto his table, pulling out the book with shaking hands. "This," it wrote, "about me." Daniel frowned, his short blonde hair mussed, his shirt wrinkled. "It's just an old journal," he said. But when Mia Harper shoved it toward him, the ink seemed fresh, glistening under the lamp. Daniel picked it up, scanning the page. His brow furrowed. "This has today's date." He looked at her, uneasy. "Did you write this?" Mia Harper's voice cracked. "No, it writes itself." Daniel laughed nervously, but his eyes betrayed fear. He set the book down quickly, as if it burned his skin. Daniel Cross shook his head, pacing across the small living room. "Mia, you're exhausted. You're seeing things." Mia Harper clenched her fists. "Daniel, it wrote my name before I even touched it." Her voice rose sharply. Daniel rubbed his temples, muttering, "Books don't write themselves." But then the pages fluttered open on the table, moving as if a hand turned them. Both froze. Words bled into the paper, jagged and uneven, forming sentences as they watched. Daniel stumbled back, his face pale. "What the hell?" The entry read, "The friend doubts, but soon he will know the truth." Mia Harper covered her mouth, trembling. Daniel whispered, "How?" His voice cracked, and fear rippled across his face. Mia Harper clutched Daniel Cross' arm, whispering, "Do you believe me now?" Daniel's eyes darted to the book, then back to her. "This isn't possible," he muttered, but his voice quivered. The book stilled suddenly, its pages falling flat. On the open sheet, new words appeared in thick black ink. "The friend will see, and the night will take him." Daniel staggered back, shaking his head. "What does that mean?" Mia Harper's lips trembled. "It means you're next." Silence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. A loud thud echoed from the hallway outside Daniel's apartment. Both turned toward the door, their eyes wide, the air thick with dread. Daniel Cross bolted his apartment door, his hands trembling as he muttered, "That sound. It came from the hall." Mia Harper clutched the book tightly, whispering, "It knows we're here." The silence pressed down, heavier with every passing second. Daniel grabbed a kitchen knife, his face pale, lips tight. "If this is some kind of trick, Mia, I don't like it." Mia Harper shook her head, fear in her eyes. "It's no trick. It wants us scared." A sudden knock rattled the door, sharp and deliberate. Both froze. Daniel whispered, "Who's there?" But no answer came. Instead, the lights flickered, shadows stretching unnaturally across the walls. Mia Harper whispered, "Don't open it." Daniel tightened his grip on the knife, sweat dripping down his temple. His breath came ragged as the knocking grew louder, echoing like a heartbeat. The knocking stopped abruptly, leaving silence so thick it hurt their ears. Daniel Cross lowered the knife slightly, whispering, "Maybe it's gone." Mia Harper shook her head quickly. "No, it's waiting." Her voice quivered. The book on the table slid an inch by itself, the sound sharp against wood. Both flinched. Words bled into the open page, jagged and uneven. "The shadows are patient. They will enter when the light dies." Daniel cursed under his breath. "This isn't real. It can't be real." Mia Harper touched his arm, pleading, "You have to believe me now." Daniel's eyes shifted between her and the book, his face pale, lips trembling. Then the lamp buzzed, flickering wildly, plunging the room in waves of light and shadow. The air felt colder, thick with something unseen moving closer. The lamp sputtered and went dark. The apartment sank into shadow, the only light a faint glow from the book. Daniel Cross raised the knife, his breath ragged. Mia Harper whispered, "It's here." Her words barely escaped her lips. From the corner, a figure stirred, tall and indistinct, its outline shifting like smoke. Daniel froze, unable to move, while Mia Harper backed against the wall, clutching the book to her chest. "Stay away," she cried, though her voice cracked with fear. The shadow glided closer, silent, its form bending unnaturally. Daniel shouted, "Get out!" and swung the knife wildly at the air. The blade cut nothing. The shadow stretched toward them, fingers like claws extending across the walls. Mia Harper whispered through trembling lips, "It's not afraid of us." The shadow lunged, sweeping across the room. Daniel Cross swung again, but the knife passed through empty air. He stumbled, crashing into a chair. Mia Harper screamed, clutching the book tighter as its pages flipped wildly, the sound like 1,000 whispers. Words scrawled across the paper faster than she could read. She caught fragments. "The shadow claims. The skeptic bleeds." Her eyes widened in horror. "Daniel," she cried. The shadow surged over him, and he gasped, his body going rigid. The knife clattered to the floor. Mia Harper ran forward, trying to pull him free, but the darkness clung to him like tar. Daniel's eyes rolled back, his mouth opening in a silent scream as the shadow wrapped tighter. Mia Harper cried, "Let him go," but the book's glow pulsed, binding his fate. Daniel Cross collapsed suddenly, the shadow retreating into the walls. His body lay on the floor, his chest heaving, sweat dripping down his face. Mia Harper knelt beside him, shaking his shoulders. "Daniel, look at me." His eyes fluttered open, glazed with terror. He whispered, "I felt it inside me." His hands shook as he grabbed hers. "Mia, it wants me." She fought back tears, gripping the book tighter. The open page showed fresh words forming in black ink. "The friend survives, but the mark is made." Daniel looked at the words, then touched his arm where dark veins spread faintly beneath his skin. He whispered, "It's not done with me." Mia Harper's face paled, her heart sinking. She realized the book wasn't just predicting. It was claiming. Mia Harper and Daniel Cross sat in silence, the book glowing faintly on the table between them. Daniel rubbed his arm where black veins spread faintly under his skin, whispering, "It marked me." Mia Harper said, "We need help. Someone must know what this thing is." Daniel shook his head, fear etched in his face. "Who would believe us?" Mia Harper thought of stories she had heard about a reclusive woman who studied cursed objects. She whispered, "Evelyn Grayson." Daniel frowned. "The occult researcher?" Mia Harper nodded. "If anyone can tell us what this book is, it's her." The room fell silent again. The book pulsed once, faint light flickering across the pages, as if mocking their desperation. They drove through the night, rain streaking across the windshield as wipers struggled to keep up. Daniel Cross gripped the steering wheel tightly, sweat on his brow, muttering, "This feels wrong." Mia Harper held the book in her lap, wrapped in a scarf, her hands trembling. She whispered, "If we don't find her, it'll kill us." Lightning flashed, illuminating the road ahead, the trees looming like dark sentinels. Daniel muttered, "I don't like this." Mia Harper's eyes stayed on the book, afraid to look outside. Each time the lightning struck, shadows seemed to shift in the corners of the car, moving where they shouldn't. Daniel's jaw clenched as he pressed harder on the gas, the storm closing in around them like a cage. The car finally pulled up to a weathered house at the edge of town. Its windows glowed faintly with candlelight, the yard overgrown with weeds. Daniel Cross muttered, "Looks abandoned." Mia Harper whispered, "She lives here." They stepped from the car, rain soaking their clothes instantly. Mia Harper cradled the book against her chest, shielding it with her jacket. The front door creaked open before they could knock. Evelyn Grayson, a woman in her 60s with long gray hair and piercing eyes, stood in the doorway holding a lantern. She said, "You brought it here." Mia Harper's breath caught. "You know about the book?" Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "I know it has killed before." Daniel's face paled, his hand tightening on Mia's arm as thunder cracked above. Inside, the house was lined with shelves of ancient books and jars filled with strange objects. Evelyn Grayson placed her lantern on the table and studied the cursed book. She said, "This is older than you think. It feeds on bloodlines." Mia Harper whispered, "It already wrote about us." Evelyn glanced sharply at Daniel Cross, her gaze lingering on the dark veins spreading across his arm. "It's chosen him," she muttered. Daniel's voice cracked. "What does that mean?" Evelyn said, "It doesn't just predict, it binds. Every word becomes truth." Mia Harper clutched Daniel's hand, her eyes filling with dread. Evelyn warned, "If you keep it, it will consume you both." The room felt colder, shadows pooling unnaturally around the table. Evelyn Grayson opened the book carefully, her eyes scanning the jagged ink. She whispered, "It writes as you live. It wants fear." Mia Harper asked, "Can we stop it?" Evelyn shook her head slowly. "Not stop, maybe contain." Daniel Cross muttered, "It said the night would take me." Evelyn's eyes darkened. "The book never lies." Daniel pulled his arm back, breathing heavily. "Then I'm already dead." Mia Harper cried, "No, we'll fight it." Evelyn pressed a finger to her lips, whispering, "Do not challenge it. The more you resist, the stronger it becomes." Suddenly, the candles flickered, nearly extinguishing. The book's pages flipped violently, ink spreading across fresh paper. Evelyn slammed it shut, her face pale. "It knows you're here." Evelyn Grayson spread out old papers across the table, her hands trembling as she whispered, "Every family tied to this book has lost someone." Mia Harper asked, "Lost how?" Evelyn looked at Daniel Cross, her voice heavy. "The book takes the one closest to the mark." Daniel gritted his teeth, muttering, "Then it's me." Evelyn shook her head. "Not always. Sometimes it chooses another, to make you suffer." Mia's stomach dropped, and she clutched Daniel's hand. The book on the table vibrated faintly, then opened by itself. New words carved into the page, "The one she loves will be taken." Mia gasped, her chest tightening. Daniel's face paled. "It means me." Evelyn whispered, "Not if we stop it, but it demands blood first." Daniel Cross paced the room, shouting, "We can't fight something we can't see." His veins darkened further along his arm, crawling toward his wrist. Mia Harper grabbed him, crying, "You're not going to die." Evelyn Grayson shook her head. "He's already marked. The book feeds on his fear." Daniel slammed his fist against the wall, tears burning his eyes. "Then it wins, doesn't it?" The book flipped violently, pages tearing as words scrawled across them. "The blood will spill, and the bond will break." Mia shouted, "No!" She slammed the book shut, her hands shaking. Evelyn whispered, "It has chosen. The sacrifice is coming." Daniel staggered, clutching his chest, his breath ragged as the room seemed to shake around them. The lights in the house flickered, though no storm raged outside. Shadows spread across the walls, thick and alive. Evelyn Grayson hissed, "It's here." Mia Harper pulled Daniel Cross close, but the book opened again, the ink bleeding across the page faster than before. The words read, "The night takes what it demands." Daniel gasped, doubling over, blood trickling from his nose. Mia screamed, "Stop it!" Evelyn grabbed a jar of salt, scattering it in a circle around them. "Stay inside the line," she cried. Daniel collapsed to his knees, clutching his head, groaning, "It's inside me." Mia dropped beside him, holding him tightly. Shadows writhed at the edge of the salt circle, clawing and snapping like beasts desperate to enter. Daniel Cross' body convulsed as the shadows pressed harder against the circle, hissing. Mia Harper sobbed, screaming, "Fight it, Daniel." His eyes rolled back white, his veins spreading up his neck. Evelyn Grayson chanted words in a low voice, her hands trembling as she held a charm aloft. The book flipped to another page, words etching themselves violently. "The sacrifice is made." Daniel gasped, clutching Mia's hands. "I can't stop it, Mia." His body shook violently before going still. The shadows retreated, curling back into the walls with a hiss. Mia shook him, sobbing, "Daniel, please." Evelyn whispered, "It demanded him." Mia's scream shattered the silence as she buried her face against Daniel's chest, her tears soaking into his shirt. Mia Harper sat frozen, cradling Daniel Cross' lifeless body in her arms. Her sobs echoed through the silent room. Evelyn Grayson whispered, "The book always claims a victim. There is no escape." Mia lifted her head, her eyes red with fury. "Then I'll destroy it." She reached for the cursed book, but as her hand touched the cover, fresh ink spread across the page. "The survivor becomes the next bearer." Mia gasped, her grip tightening. The book pulsed beneath her fingers, warm and alive. Evelyn shook her head. "It's bound to you now." Mia whispered through clenched teeth, "Then I'll end this even if it kills me." The book glowed brighter, as if amused by her defiance, its power digging deeper into her fate. Mia Harper stood trembling, Daniel Cross' lifeless body still at her side. Evelyn Grayson placed a hand on her shoulder and whispered, "This curse chose you long before you were born." Mia's voice cracked. "What do you mean?" Evelyn pulled an ancient photograph from a drawer, showing a woman who looked eerily like Mia. "Your grandmother, Lillian Harper. She was the last bearer before she tried to bury it." Mia's chest tightened, the weight of history crushing her. "You're saying this is in my blood?" Evelyn nodded gravely. "The book never chooses randomly. It hunts its line. You were bound before you ever touched it." Mia's hands shook as she stared at the cursed book, realizing the horror wasn't chance. It was inheritance. Mia Harper clutched the photograph, her breath ragged. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" Evelyn Grayson replied, "Your family tried to forget, but the curse always returns." Mia whispered, "Daniel died because of me." Evelyn's voice hardened. "Because of the book, not you, but now it is yours." Mia slammed the photo down, her anger boiling. "Then I'll burn it." Evelyn's eyes widened. "Fire won't work, many have tried. The book is bound to blood, and only blood can silence it." Mia's stomach twisted. "Whose blood?" Evelyn stared at her without answering. The book trembled on the table, pages fluttering open, and fresh ink carved the words, "The bearer bleeds, or the curse continues." Mia staggered back, horror flooding her veins. Mia Harper's hands trembled as she traced the words in the book. "It wants my blood." Evelyn Grayson nodded, her voice low. "Yes, but it won't stop with just you. It will keep feeding until your line ends." Mia whispered, "My family." She remembered her mother's nightmares, her grandmother's early death, the whispers she'd ignored as a child. Evelyn leaned closer. "The curse is a chain. Each bearer suffers, each one dies, and the book survives." Mia clutched her chest, feeling the weight of generations crushing her spirit. "Then I was doomed from the start," she said. Evelyn's eyes softened, but her words were sharp. "The only way to break it is to end the bloodline completely." Mia's body went cold, her future stolen. Mia Harper staggered to her feet, tears streaming down her face. I won't let it end me, she whispered. Evelyn Grayson warned. Defiance will make it stronger. Mia's eyes blazed with fury. Then, I'll fight it. She grabbed the book, clutching it tightly against her chest. Evelyn reached out, shouting, "Don't touch it!" But the moment Mia's skin met the cover, her veins burned. She screamed, collapsing to her knees. The pages flipped violently, black ink spilling across them. Words seared into the paper. The bearer resists. The curse binds tighter. Mia's vision blurred, her breath ragged. Evelyn tried to pry the book from her arms, but it stuck like it was part of her flesh. "It's too late," Evelyn whispered. Mia Harper gasped, dropping the book as it pulsed with dark light. Her body shook, and she fell against the table, panting. Evelyn Grayson whispered, "It is bound deeper now. You cannot run." Mia wiped blood from her nose, whispering, "Then I'll end it, no matter the cost." Evelyn's face hardened. "Ending it means ending yourself. Are you ready for that?" Mia stared at Daniel Cross's body, her chest heaving. "If it means no one else dies, then yes." The book throbbed, glowing brighter, almost pleased with her decision. Evelyn whispered, "The book feeds on sacrifice. Be careful, Mia Harper. It may want more than your life." Mia's eyes darkened with resolve. "Then let it take me. But it ends tonight." Mia Harper stood in the center of Evelyn Grayson's study, clutching the cursed book. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, her face pale but resolved. Evelyn whispered, "If you open it again, there is no turning back." Mia's voice trembled but steady. "Then I'll face it." She set the book on the table, its cover pulsing with a heartbeat of its own. Daniel Cross' body lay nearby, a reminder of the price already paid. Evelyn's eyes softened with pity. "You're braver than most, but bravery may only speed your end." Mia whispered, "If it ends with me, then so be it." The room grew colder, shadows rising higher along the walls. The book opened by itself, pages fluttering like wings, the ink glowing black. The pages glowed as words carved into them violently. The bearer faces the final choice. Mia Harper leaned over the table, her trembling fingers brushing the page. Evelyn Grayson shouted, "Don't read it aloud." But Mia whispered, "It's already inside me." Her voice echoed unnaturally, layered with another tone. The candles snuffed out, plunging the room into near darkness, except for the glow of the book. A shadow rose from its pages, taller and darker than before, its form twisting like smoke. Evelyn clutched a charm, whispering prayers, but her face drained of hope. The shadow hissed, "Mia Harper." Her heart pounded, her eyes locking with the void. She whispered, "Then come for me." The shadow surged across the room, its form swallowing the air. Mia Harper screamed as it wrapped around her, black tendrils snaking into her veins. Evelyn Grayson shouted, "Resist it." But Mia's body convulsed, her eyes rolling back. The book glowed brighter, feeding on her agony. Daniel Cross' lifeless body twitched once, as if stirred by the force, before lying still again. Mia gritted her teeth, her voice breaking. "You won't win," the shadow whispered through her mouth, two voices speaking as one. Evelyn raised her charm, chanting desperately, but cracks split across the walls as the house itself seemed to buckle under the curse's power. The air grew thick, pressing down on every surface. Mia Harper dropped to her knees, her body trembling, but her grip on the book unyielding. She screamed, "Take me, not anyone else." The shadow paused, shifting as though listening. Evelyn Grayson gasped, "Don't bargain with it." But Mia pressed on. "End it with me. My blood, my life. Let it die with me." The book pulsed violently, the ink on its pages searing like fire. The shadow screeched, a sound that shattered glass, then lunged fully into Mia's body. Her scream echoed, tearing through the night. Evelyn staggered back, covering her ears. Mia's body shook violently, then slumped forward, her hands still pressed to the book. The room went silent, the shadow gone, but the air heavy with dread. Silence fell as Mia Harper collapsed, her face pale, and her chest still. Evelyn Grayson rushed forward, shaking her. "Mia!" but her body was lifeless. The cursed book lay beneath her hands, its glow fading. Evelyn whispered, "It's over." But then the book twitched, a faint pulse rippling across the cover. Slowly, Mia's eyes opened, but they were no longer her own. They glowed black, bottomless voids. She smiled faintly, whispering in a voice not hers, "It doesn't end." Evelyn stumbled back, horror in her eyes. The book's pages flipped one final time, and fresh ink scrawled, "The curse continues." Candlelight flickered back to life, casting long shadows as Mia Harper rose slowly, the darkness alive inside her.